Marble Hornets, a horror series that I hold near and dear to my heart for many reasons. I thought it was the first time somebody ever took the concept of the Slender Man, an online creepypasta about a tall man in a suit that lives in the woods, and actually managed to make an effective story out of it. More often than not, I find most forms of work that try to implement the Slender Man to usually have some failures or faults, and we're not even gonna talk about that fucking movie. But the main reason I hold this series so near and dear to my heart is that it's the reason my channel is where it's at now. You see, prior to making my original Marble Hornets video, I was really just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. I always knew I wanted to make analysis videos, but I can't lie when I say that when I made the Marble Hornets video, I was kind of on the edge of quitting. My videos would barely get views in the double digits, let alone the triple. And then I wake up the next day to find that it reached 1K, then 14K, then 100K, and it is currently the most viewed video on my channel, with the second video to it being pretty damn close. And so, when I heard that Troy Wagner and Joseph, what was his last name? And Joseph DeLage were making a basically adaptation or remake, I was very much shocked. But Aiden, where's Tim? So, I didn't bring this up in the original video, but here's a little bit of some history for you. You see, after making Marble Hornets, and they had completed it, the lead director, Troy, decided to go ahead and make a channel just called Troy Has a Camera TV. And they tried creating more series on there, although they were nowhere near as popular as Marble Hornets. And you see, because they're not doing well view-wise, they weren't getting a lot of money. And because they weren't getting a lot of money, Troy decided that he would pay the people that work with him based on how much work he thinks they've done. Well, and this is coming from somebody who's tried directing things before. Fun fact, when you're the one directing, you feel like you're doing most of the work. So basically, Troy would take most of the money, and a lot of the crew were not happy with it. Joseph and Troy, though, would make up. Tim would not. And from what I understand, he still doesn't want to work with them because of how that all went down. We don't know behind the scenes if there was fighting or arguments, but judging by the fact he doesn't want to come back, I would assume that some not so nice things were said to each other behind the scenes. I could be wrong. I very much could be wrong. That's just what I assume. And so that part alone made me surprised that this was getting made. Part 1 comes out, and
Oh, that doesn't matter too much. Y'all wanted to hear a ghost story.
I can't lie, I was a little... It didn't seem that good. I mean, what, there's a hint that something spooky happened. Is the series just gonna be a more peachy, happy, friendly version? Never in my life have I been more wrong. Rosswood is not only terrifying, but far more horrifying than Marble Hornets ever was.
Do I have choices? Talking with you, but without voices, tearing up noises, but I will never give up.
Where are you?
Alright, so if you're coming here from the other Marble Hornets videos I've made, I'm gonna ask you to pretend those don't exist. Now, yes, this series has references, locations, characters, the operator. Well, actually, he doesn't have a name in this series, so I can actually just call him Slender Man. But also, I've known him as the operator ever since I made that Marble Hornets video, so, But despite all the similarities and literally the same characters and locations, the story is very different. Firstly, Tim is not at all in the story, for reasons I've mentioned already. Second, Alex and Jay don't go insane, okay? Well, there's no killers, if that makes sense. There's no Maskey, there's no Brian. There's no person hunting down these people to try to kill them. It's just these people and the operator. So the operator is, by all accounts, the villain of this story. Now, near the end, I'll try to see if we can somehow connect it back to the original, and trust me, I'm gonna really sound like Matt Pat, but only when relevant, I'll bring up Marble Hornets. For now, let's try to treat the story as its own thing. Now, before we begin, let's look at the title, Rosswood. In the original Marble Hornets series, Rosswood Park was a location where a lot of major events would happen. It was almost like the home for the operator. Now I'm gonna go on ahead, shut my mouth, and finally talk about the first part, just Rosswood Part 1. These are not labeled as entries, just parts. So right away, we're told how this footage is presumably uploaded, or at least how it was found, and then somehow, maybe in some way, was uploaded here. This is the only edited part and material from an unfinished episode of the Crayley in the Real World web series, a web-based documentary created by Alex Crayley and Jay Merrick. So we already see that these two from the original are back. Apparently, this edited footage was found in a laptop inside of their hotel. We see from the file name that this was apparently the second rough edit, or at least a variation of the second rough edit. And believe me, it's a rough edit.
Hi, I'm Alex Crayley. I'm a filmmaker and pop culture historian. I've made it my life's work to show the world how important films are to us and the unexpected ways in which the film world collides with our real world. This is Crayley and the Real World.
So, right away, we're given some pretty important information as the episode starts. We see that Alex and Jay, unlike in Marble Hornets where they broke apart and split up, are still good friends. Apparently their friendship has lasted so long, and they've been working on this series for so long, they're on episode 8. Episode 8 itself is about urban legends. As they talk about urban legends, they talk about something that I can't help but feel is a reference to the initial creation of Slender Man. They bring up how urban legends are often something that can be taken by a writer, molded into a shape for a new story, and then be put into the world. Which I can't help but feel is a reference to how they took the concept of the Slender Man and less than a week later started making Marble Hornets. Which, if so, I think is a fairly nice, reference to the origin of this series. They then bring up how here in Rosswood there's an urban legend that everybody who lives there knows.
Rosswood Hospital has sat abandoned since its closure in 1999.
Now, if you're a fan of Marble Hornets, you'll recognize this as the abandoned hospital, a place where some of the most infamous scenes played out.
It's also well-trodden ground to Jay and I personally, as we shot a major part of one of our projects out here when we were film students together. This old hospital is...
Wait. Are you not gonna say what it was called?
No, I wasn't planning on it, but I guess you can.
Okay, it was called Alex Crayley's Marble Hornets, and it was about, stop me if you've heard this before, a guy comes back to his hometown after graduating college, and things are different.
So, this in of itself tells us how this is essentially a alternate universe. Insert multiverse joke here. This is a universe where the operator sightings never occurred because Tim was never a part of the production. The removal of his character, which is one, kind of needed, but two, changes the entire course of the story. Because remember, in the original Marble Hornets, he was the one who was seemingly infected, or like a patient zero, with whatever the operator is. After him arriving into the group, everything went downhill from there. Granted, it was slow, but still, everything went downhill because of him. Here, the film was finished. There was no need for Alex to get rid of his tapes, and then Jay, some years later, to be like, oh, what's all these? Instead, they finished the film, probably regretted it. I know a lot of people said my Welcome Home student film was good. I look at that film sometimes and feel cringe, but then I remember what every other film in my film class looked like, and not to jerk myself here, but I kind of had the best film.
We're joined by a local folklorist and expert on the history of Rosswood.
I'm Jody Locke, and I'm the assistant curator and lead archivist at the Rosswood Historical Society, and I'm deeply passionate about our local history.
I'm just gonna let you know right now, Jody, although she gives us a lot of background, she kind of only exists for that. Don't get me wrong, she gives us important info that can go a long mile when it comes to the theorizing, but she shows up in this episode, briefly in the next, and she's just never seen again. But the history lesson that she goes ahead and gives us is that the hospital was built in 1952. It was divided into two separate buildings, the dormitories and the treatment area. Now, because this place was built in 1952 and battled mental health, the treatments were very unethical. Any bad practice you can think of was done. Electric shock therapy, isolation, even fucking lobotomies.
I've heard of plenty of instances of escapes during its heyday and even up until its closure.
So patients would get out. Would the police just round them up and send them back? What happens?
Sometimes there were genuine disappearances. I can think of one instance. From 1998, there was a young boy who ran away during his treatment, and to my knowledge, he was never found.
Now, the mention of a child's disappearance stuck with me and my friend when watching this originally. Shout out to CNS, by the way. Me and him would watch these literally the second we both got off work. And it was fun as fuck. Because in Marble Hornets, Tim, back in his childhood, would often run away from that exact same hospital. So, I don't think Tim's character has been erased necessarily. What I think is that this child, who is Tim, ran away, but this time wasn't recovered. And because of that, Marble Hornets never happened. But I would like to mention the fact that this is a notable case is strange. As Alex and Jody talk about how that child's disappearance alone probably created a lot of urban legends, Jay interrupts into the conversation and mentions how people who like to go to that hospital are probably ones that are a bit too eager to try to live their own ghost story. I'm gonna come back to that line, alright? I'm gonna come back to that.
With that in mind, before we head out to Rosswood Hospital proper, we thought we'd take a walk around and talk to some folks, find out what stories they've heard, and maybe what other urban legends they're aware of. But keep in mind, this is a college town, and it's a Friday night, so anything goes.
I don't know why, but like, the use of stock footage, I find it kind of funny. And then after that, they mention it's spring break.
So it turns out that it's spring break, and I'm having a little bit harder time finding people to interview than I originally anticipated.
I'm sorry, this shit's just so fucking funny. So yeah, let's go talk to the college kids on a Friday night. Oh fuck, it's spring break. They eventually realize that they gotta interview just random people. They go to interview one person, and that goes about as well as you would expect.
I'm here with Brandon, who you're familiar with Rosswood, correct?
It's Brendan, but yes, I am familiar. I've heard of the facilities.
And you've also heard about some maybe spectral interference here. Could you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I heard Marie Laveau put a curse on the place from beyond the grave. I heard she was petitioned by a patient.
And so she was petitioned while already dead.
Correct.
But then they go to interview this other person who seems to be drunk, or at least not okay mentally. And he tells quite the story.
What's your name?
Oh, that doesn't matter too much. Y'all wanted to hear a ghost story, right?
Yes. Yeah, tell us your ghost story.
Yeah, I got a ghost story.
Okay.
My brother, he's a slick guy, you know? He was...
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna edit this down because, like, I'm sorry, but he just talks for way too long.
When we were seniors in high school, My brother, he was only a year older than me, so we were close in age. He was seniors in high school. He talked to these two like, you know, sophomore girls, and like, you know, he was like, hey, you know, let's go hang out in the woods, and like I could never have done that, but you know, they said, yeah, we'll go out, and you know, we were gonna go have a good time. We reached Rosswood. I'm so sick. I had to lie down. I was like, give me a minute. I'm gonna sit here. I wasn't falling asleep, I guess. I was so f***ed up. Oh.
We can bleep it.
Oh.
Don't worry.
I wake up suddenly, and it's the two girls, and they're shaking me, and they're yelling. It took them. It took them.
They took your brother?
It took them. You know, I asked them again where's their brother, and they said took him. And so like they start motioning me to follow them, and they brought me to this tunnel. This big tunnel in front of me. Steel. And it's so dark in there. And the girls, they're yelling in my ear. They're saying, it dragged him in there. It dragged him in there.
This is a tunnel at Rosswood Hospital?
No.
No.
There's no tunnel at Rosswood Hospital. You know what's listening to me?
Okay.
I've never seen this tunnel before. I turn and like they're both like they're on the ground and they're, you know, just
They're having like a seizure?
Yeah. Like on the ground. And I was like, I don't know what to do.
Alex, I think we should call him a cab or video.
So I ran into the tunnel. And I was calling my brother's name, saying, where are you? Where are you? And I hear, here I am. Just like that, you know? Here I am. And I turn around. That was so beautiful. I ran. I had to. Never saw my brother again.
You don't know what happened to your brother? What happened to the girls?
They woke up. They were kind of like me, kind of sick, but you know, we got back to the car where we parked, and by the time we got there, they didn't know who I was. They didn't know me. They didn't know I had a brother. They didn't know, there was no brother.
So, we get a lot of information out of this one guy. By the way, something I want to take note of, and maybe some of you saw it, is when he's talking about how he heard his brother say, here I am, the footage glitched at the bottom of the screen. The entire rest of this footage doesn't glitch. But there's one main important thing. The mention of the tunnel. Presumably, as he corrects Alex in stating it's not a tunnel in Rosswood, it's presumably the tunnel. The one where the operator appeared like 3 or 4 times in Marble Hornets. But then he says after going to look at his brother, when he said, here I am, he just says, I was so beautiful. Implying that he saw himself? And after waking up, no one could recall each other's name. And that, combined with the seizures, was something that would occur due to the operator back in Marble Hornets. So, they presumably encountered the operator. And when the girls were saying it took him in there, they probably meant that the operator dragged his brother, which already tells us that the operator here is a bit more different. Because in Marble Hornets, he's never seen really physically grabbing anybody. The one time he ever seems to actually try to grab someone, the camera distorts. Usually in Marble Hornets, he just stands near a person or over a corpse, and then the camera distorts, and him and that person or corpse is gone. There is literally one scene in the entirety of Marble Hornets where he ever goes to grab someone. And in here, it apparently fucking dragged someone. So already, the operator is a much, much more scary threat compared to Marble Hornets. And another thing that I want to note, a big thing behind Tim and the end of the series was this overall hint and clue that you could actually survive the operator. you could learn to overcome his power and live a normal life. A lot of people, including me, kind of viewed it almost like an allegory for depression. How if you work hard enough, you can overcome it. But this guy either didn't get the help he needed to be like Tim, or, and what I think, especially with later on, once the operator gets you, you don't recover. He even mentions that the girls are like him, quote-unquote sick. And granted, we don't see them, and his definition of sick could mean anything, but I would assume that he implies that they're basically just as unstable as he is. The operator may even cause some sort of physical disability, as the man is seen kind of limping and stumbling. Or maybe he's just so lost mentally and so unstable that it's hard for him to even walk. What we see alone, if this is the operator, I just realized I could have been going on this whole rant, and this may not even actually been the operator. This may not even be connected. But assuming this is the operator, he is 10 times more scary, powerful, and terrifying than he ever was in Marble Hornets. Marble Hornets, to me, was more of witnessing the operator push things in a certain direction. Like how he used Brian and Tim to get people to kill each other, and Alex to kill people. Not even by ordering them or commanding them, but presumably these people were doing it in order to try to either end this cycle, to save someone, to save themselves. And that combined with their fucking insanity basically almost makes them like a henchman. But not... how do I explain it? The best way I can think of the villains of Marble Hornets is essentially putting someone on drugs, suddenly taking it away from them, and then letting them loose as they go insane. Except the drug dealer is the operator, and instead of drugs, the drug is just living a normal life. But in this series, his tall ass doesn't mind getting his hands dirty. After this, Alex very awkwardly ends the episode.
Right. Well, Jody, what do you think? Do any of these ghost stories hold water?
I think it should be your turn to talk now.
Okay. Well, maybe the three of us will experience our own ghost story tomorrow when we spend all day and night at Rosswood Hospital. Hope you'll join us for part 2, coming soon. Jay, you got your sleeping bag? Nice. As always, I'm Alex Crayley, and this is Crayley in the real world.
So, yeah, that was part 1. Very boring initially, but things definitely are being set up for what's going to happen next. And so, with pretty much everything analyzed and looked at in part 1, let's move on to part 2.
Listen, I'm not mad. I really, really wish you had said something about this beforehand, and maybe I could have figured something out, but...
Okay, well, we'll figure something out now.
So we very quickly realize what this argument is. And no, it's not them recording some man who's very clearly not okay having a mental breakdown. But basically, Alex and Jay assumed that she was going to join them when they go to the abandoned hospital. However, according to Alex, when he goes to talk to Jay, she should have known this information. And Alex points out that Jay was supposed to have sent her an email explaining that they were going to be spending the night at the abandoned hospital. But it was actually Alex who sent the email, and Alex only mentioned just meeting them for this video, nothing about the hospital. Now, any and all plans that could solve this issue of conflict are basically killed by Alex being an idiot.
We're all professionals
You
here.
are asking me to trespass in an abandoned building.
What I'm asking you to do is act with a modicum of professionalism. We had an agreement. We just need you to do this one last thing.
I am not going to listen to you lecture me about professionalism. You are being unprofessional.
I am not being unprofessional. Look, I'm not mad at you. I just care about this project a lot. And from my point of view, you are the only thing that is keeping us from reaching the finish line.
Well, isn't that convenient?
After that, Jody goes to leave, and eventually Jay goes up to her and tells her that Alex is just drunk, and if she ever changes her mind about wanting to work on this, just call Jay. With that, she hands over the microphone, and she's gone. We never see her again.
Don't look at me. So, We'll say that she called us back. She said she couldn't do it. It was too haunted or whatever. That's how we will save this episode.
This right here?
Yes. Just put text over it or whatever.
If it isn't apparent, Alex seems to really care about getting this movie done. But after this, they go ahead and head to a hotel and stop recording. Also, I want to go ahead and mention something here. It's only mentioned at the very end of the series, so I'm just going to mention it now. For the entire rest of the series, what we see is footage from their camera. It is not an edited file, it is just the raw footage, and the cuts are from where they stopped recording and then resumed. They go on ahead and drive over to Rosswood, and as they're making their way to the hospital, they spot a large tree, which to them serves as a landmark to know where to go. Trust me, this will become important later. They go ahead and reach the hospital and comment on the state of decay, which I think is once again another fourth wall break joke. Because within the story of this series, this is where they filmed their student film, Marble Hornets. In the actual Marble Hornets series, not only was this place also where they recorded their film, but also a central and a very important location in the story. And I think them talking about its age and decay is kind of just meant to be a reminder of, like, damn, Marble Hornets is fucking old.
We've arrived. Rosswood Hospital. This is where Jay and I are going to be spending the day and night. This is the larger of the two buildings on the property. The one that Jody told us was patient housing. A little bit over that way is the treatment facility. We'll check that out, but first, let's go inside.
They go on in and explore, and then find a tape on the ground. They joke that these are the exact tapes that they used to use to make their own student film, and then Jay says that he has nothing to play the tape, so they go ahead and throw it away. I get the feeling this was another joke, kind of making fun of how in Marble Hornets, to be honest, there was some pretty conveniently placed tapes throughout the series. Don't get me wrong, I love Marble Hornets, I love the way it's filmed, but I can't lie, it is a little convenient that they kept coming across tapes, especially when they're out in the middle of the woods. So I'd like to imagine this is just a little nudge of like, hey, remember when we used to do that? As they're filming some B-roll, they try to get B-roll of Alex walking through a hallway. But Jay's phone goes off. Jay answers the phone call, and apparently it's somebody that he is in a romantic relationship with. It's never stated who this person is other than that their name is Riley, and we don't know if Riley is a man or a woman. However, the person who plays Jay, Troy, is gay, and from what I've heard, Jay himself is gay because Troy is gay. So, like, I would just assume that Riley is a boyfriend. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a girlfriend. I don't know. So I'm just going to refer to Riley by they, them. Perhaps his partner is non-binary, and this is some very epic non-binary representation. Yippee! Yay! They then decide to go ahead and leave the patient housing building and go over to the treatment building. The sun is now setting, so they're going in there to basically just know what the building is built like before they really do anything. Because once it gets dark, they're not going to be able to see shit. And as they go through here, they make yet another reference to the original series, and then reminding us that Tim wasn't involved, so everything actually went fine that time. In this timeline, what happened was after they had filmed that shot, some person came to them with a gun in their car, telling them to get off the property.
Yeah.
You remember we got caught after this, right?
We did?
Yeah, a guy in a truck came up like right over here, and he was yelling at us, so I went out to go and talk to him and try to, like, you know, get him to leave us alone, and he had a shotgun in his passenger seat.
He did?
Yes.
Okay, seeing this now, I remember the guy in the truck, but I don't remember the shotgun part.
This is, like, never brought up again. It's just randomly there. As they go across, they then find the entrance into what looks like a sewer tunnel, which, if you've watched the original series, you will know some spooky shit went on down there. And as Jay puts his camera close to the hole, you can hear this static or distortion.
You want to go in?
Our first clue that something isn't right here. Well, second, if you count that guy they interviewed. While they're exploring, 1, they find the operator logo, which is funny. But 2, we see that Alex doesn't really care.
There's no windows. What about it?
Yeah, it's dark. It'll be good for the scripted encounter.
What?
You know, this cryptid encounter, like in the middle of the night when we're exploring, we're contacted by ghosts or spirits or whatever.
You mean by scripted encounter, you mean faking it?
What I mean is that I don't want to leave here empty-handed.
That just seems dishonest to me.
I mean, you don't really think that we're going to be experiencing something supernatural out here without it, do you?
Well, no, but it just seems kind of manipulative to the viewers.
What do you think we were going to do out here? Just spend the night and have nothing happen?
Foreshadowing. Foreshadow.
Sorry, look, I get what you're saying, I do. But we don't have to use it, but I'd rather have it and not need it than not have it and end up with the most boring episode ever. Right? So we're not making high art.
Yeah,
we just need eyeballs.
Need the eyeballs.
They eventually go ahead and find a room that they've decided they'll sleep in once they go ahead and get their supplies, which are back at the truck. They then go ahead and discuss how they're going to set up the filming when...
We'll come back in here this evening, and that's when we'll shoot it. Okay.
What was that?
I'm not sure. I really hope there's not somebody else walking around with us.
Are you going to check it out?
Of course. Might have even been a roof falling in.
Yes, so if you didn't catch it, they're not alone. They then discover that they presume the noise was from some metal falling over, and they think that either the wind did it or a person did it. And assuming it's a person, Alex decides to go ahead and pull a little bit of a prank.
This is security!
Okay.
Now, whoever's in here, I'm only going to warn you once. Nicely, but only once. You are trespassing. You will be found, and you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Sounds like it. It came from where we just were over there.
Yeah, near it.
Oh, crap.
What?
I left the camera bag in there.
Jake gets in there, and the camera bag is fine. Everything in it is fine. But suddenly, the room is pitch black.
Wait. Wait, come here.
What's up?
What? It's dark.
There's no way. It was
It
like
was-
5 p.m.
I mean, the sun was setting, but it shouldn't be dark yet, right? What time is it?
10:52 p.m.
Confused why nearly 6 hours have suddenly passed, they go ahead and decide to leave. Jay theorizing that maybe there's a gas leak and they went unconscious, and that they probably should not be filming here. And then Alex...
We need to get out of here. This could be something like a gas leak that we're breathing in.
This place has been condemned for decades. What gas?
Natural gas. It comes out of the ground.
I think this is something different. We should stay.
No, stay. What? No. What? Something weird just happened. We should go.
Something weird just happened, and we got it on camera. Think about it. We should stay the night. What if something else happens? We might have definitive proof of the paranormal. I don't know.
What if one of us drops dead, like from whatever we're breathing? No, we should definitely leave.
Jay,
No, come on.
Don't be
No,
dramatic.
We need to get out of here.
So they go ahead and keep trying to find their way back, despite Alex, for some reason, not wanting that. And then Jay goes ahead and calls Riley, basically to let them know that, hey, we may or may not have passed out for 6 hours. But the phone keeps ringing. Riley doesn't pick up, and then... they find themselves back at the front entrance of the treatment building. And with that, part 2 ends. So remember when I said part 1 was boring? I have never been more wrong in my whole goddamn life. Now, if you have watched the original Marble Hornets series, what's going on is not new. This happened about 2-3 times, and a whole lot during some of the more intense scenes. In that series, there were moments where time was sped up all of a sudden, and characters found themselves in the middle of the night when it was just day, or they find themselves being teleported and transported to places they were nowhere near. And I can't lie to you, I feel like that was very underused in Marble Hornets. Like, listen, I will suck off Marble Hornets till the last drop of cum comes out. You know, that analogy sounded better in my head. I like Marble Hornets, but I found it funny how I felt like they didn't really use the fact that the operator can literally teleport people and speed up time. I felt like that was used very sparingly, and only when it was, I want to say necessary, but not really. And to be honest, I find that about 50 times more terrifying than the operator driving people insane. The fact that he can just whisk you away. Combine that with memory loss, and he can basically wipe you off the face of the earth. And so something I really like about Rosswood is that it takes advantage of this power of his more. It actually uses it way more and very effectively. And even kind of messes with it, which I'll get on to about that later on. But this series really takes advantage of this, and I love how they do it. There isn't really much to analyze. A lot of what we've seen can just be explained in the moment. So, let's go on ahead and move to part 3. So we see right off the bat, things are not good for them. Alex and Jay try calling numbers on their phone, but all that happens is they keep ringing. Alex, he had me in the first half with what he says that, well, we clearly were lost, we shouldn't try the front entrance again, and then somehow tries to explain that they should just keep filming, stating that, oh, well, we can just keep filming the episode, because we're very clearly going to get lost in the woods if we try again. So, you know, let's just film our little film. What's that about the fact that it's suddenly pitch black and none of our phones will answer and we just somehow walked back to the So Jay, very much unwillingly, decides to go ahead and join Alex in staying the night here. Alex thinks that they should go ahead and stay in the room where they witness time itself say fuck you. Jay makes it very apparent and audible he does not want to do this, and he pretty much refuses to enter that room because he probably thinks there's a gas leak in there. So Alex goes ahead and takes the camera from him, telling Jay to just relax, calm down, I'll do the filming. Also, I think that Troy, aka Jay, looks really cute in this shot right here. Jay goes ahead and decides, alright, you know what, fuck it, I'll go ahead and rest. And while they're in there, they notice something strange. Earlier, when the sun was shining, there was very clearly sun coming in from that hole in the roof. Looking back now, there's no hole. Well, there is, but it's blocked by the inner workings and metal of the ceiling. Once again showing that the operator can do some strange things. We eventually cut to some time later, where Jay is now trying to presumably sleep, so he can just wake up and it be morning and this is all over. And Alex goes ahead and tries to record some footage. As he does, though, he starts coughing.
So, okay, down there is one of the front entrances.
We cut to some time later, and according to Alex's phone, it is 8:13 a.m., but it's still pure pitch black outside. The sun should be up by now, so they go ahead and decide that they should probably attempt to leave again and try not to get lost. As they go through the woods, they manage to find the landmark that they were looking at earlier, the big tree. So they take a turn, go to follow the path that they originally took to get here.
How did we get turned around? I swear we were walking in a straight line.
Yeah, we were.
They're still finding their way back here somehow. It's as if the forest itself is taking them back here. They then decide, to make sure that they're not going insane, that one of them will look back at the building as they progress towards, presumably, their way out. But as they do this, Jay almost walks right back into the walls of a building. Not the other building that they keep visiting, The one with the hole in the floor. And Alex is seemingly ecstatic about this, like it's some grand fucking science discovery. And Jay very clearly disagrees and argues with him that this is stupid, they need to stop caring about filming. And then Alex, I want to say throws a temper tantrum, but in reality, we figure out why he's so... How do I put this? We learn why he isn't exactly too terrified about not making it back home.
No, we need to be more worried about leaving because I am so tired of shooting all of this.
I don't care. I don't care. Man, ever since whatever happened, you've just been hounding me about leaving. I don't want to film. We gotta stop shooting. It's been nonstop, man. See this from my perspective, okay? You have a steady job in the production business, right?
What? Yeah, I mean, steady
exactly.
enough, you know that.
And you know what's going to happen when we get out of here and we stop shooting. You're going to go back to that job, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to go back to Riley. And you're going to go back to your house.
Yeah.
And you know where I'm going to go?
Home?
Yeah. Yeah, buddy. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back to my crappy little apartment alone. And then the next day, I'm going to go to my crappy little day job at the call center and get yelled at all day. That's a job that I'm probably going to be laid off from soon, just so you know.
Sorry.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't apologize. Just listen to me for a second. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm doing at that job when I'm sitting at my desk between calls?
What?
I'm writing down ideas for the series. I'm trying to think of ways to make it better. Trying to think, what can we do? Where can we go? Do you know why?
Why? I'm listening.
Because it's all I have. And now we're out here. And we have something big. We actually have something. Something that nobody has seen before. We have, on camera, definitive proof of something paranormal happening. How does that not excite you?
I just want to go home, Alex.
So do I, man. Of course I do. But if I can leave here and have something to show for it, something that can pull me out of this hole, I want that. I need it. Look at me. I need this. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Don't mm-hmm me.
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
So film everything.
Okay.
Now, when I first watched Rosswood, I thought that this was the dumbest scene ever. You're telling me this guy is so obsessed with trying to make a ground breakthrough, that his life is so miserable, that he's perfectly fine having his life at such a dangerous position right now? And then I watched Marble Hornets again and remembered, oh wait, Jay in that series was also a fucking idiot. Marble Hornets, the series, only exists because Jay was so stubborn to try to find out what's going on about the operator and to record everything, even though he could have just not done that it ended up dragging down multiple people, including himself, into death. And the more I look at it, Alex actually has a more understandable goal. At least one that I feel people can relate to and kind of understand a bit better. This man, much like many of us, work a dead-end job, having to do basically nothing with what we're actually happy doing. Like many people, he's alone. Like many people, he doesn't get to do his dream job. I mean, hell, I'd love to do YouTube full-time, but yeah, nah, not with the way they monetize my shit. What's that, you played 10 seconds of Savages by the Handsome Devil? Alright, your entire fucking video doesn't make money. Fun fact, that song causing the video to make no money is what led to me making the Counter-Strike video use so much copyrighted music, because I just basically thought, fuck it. And now Alex has tangible evidence of the paranormal on tape. This could change his life. Not only does he love talking about filming and the paranormal, but he just found pretty much actual tangible evidence of the paranormal going on. Now, he probably doesn't know what the operator's doing because he hasn't actually seen the thing, and if he has, then he only caught it on camera and didn't see it with his eyes. Or maybe they tried doing what that shitty Marble Hornets film did, where they only can see it on camera or something. By the way, that film is like dog shit, don't watch it. If I had $1 for every time there was a shitty Slenderman film, I'd have $2. It's not a lot of money, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Alex has nothing to go back home to once they leave, but Jay does. Jay has a lover, a home, a stable job, and to him, that is very important, and he wants to get out of here so he can get back to that. When Alex gets home, there's nothing for him. Now, I'm willing to admit that this can be seen as a bit dumb. However, this series is found footage. They need to have a reason for us to see this footage, but I find this to be a very tangible and good explanation for why we see what we see. But eventually, after some very, very awkward silence, they decide that they should probably crawl through the tunnel. It could lead to where the sun is, or just a way out of here. And once again, when they look into the tunnel, you can hear static.
I mean, we've been in the woods a couple of times now, and we keep ending up at the same place. Maybe this goes somewhere. Maybe it actually goes somewhere. And maybe that somewhere has the sun up. I don't know.
We haven't tried it yet. I guess there's only one way to find out.
Why do you take more convincing?
I just want to leave. I'll try anything. Let's see. It's actually more spacious in here than I thought it would be.
Well, that's something. And move in so I can hop down.
So, this part has not only given us context for why Alex is so chipper, but has also shown us that they are truly stuck, and also our first real good look at the operator. Which I must state, he does appear a lot more in this series, but I don't know, it feels more fitting due to it being shorter. That and the operator is a bit more physically involved, let's say, in Rosswood. But part 4 goes ahead and picks up right where this left off, so let's go and go to part 4.
Alex? Alex, are you in here? Alex?
He picks up the phone, and Alex starts talking to him, but it doesn't sound like Alex.
Where'd you go?
Where did you go? I was looking in one of these rooms.
What?
I thought you were right behind me.
In the tunnel. Where did you run?
I didn't run anywhere. I'm right where we were a second ago.
You're outside the tunnel?
What tunnel?
The one we were going to go through to try to get out.
I don't know where that is. Can you meet me at the front, please?
Okay.
Can you meet me at the front, please?
Give me a second to crawl out of here, I guess.
Jay crawls through the tunnels and eventually spots sunlight. He goes to it.
No.
But it gets snatched away. Jay finds his way back to the building and meets Alex. But, as it turns out, Alex didn't call him.
So I'm up here. What are we doing?
What do you mean? You told me to meet you up here.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You called me and said you would meet me up here.
No, you called me and said that the tunnel just led up front. You were going around so to meet you right here.
No, I came out the way I went in.
Hold on.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to call you.
Oh, okay.
Anything?
No.
As the conversation goes on, Jay brings up to Alex that they need to leave because there's something here with them. And then Alex brings up, what's with us? Jay explains how the operator was breathing down Alex's fucking neck, and Alex says he doesn't recall it. Jay asks, then what did you do after I ran into the tunnel? and Alex can't remember. Do you remember earlier in episode 1 when they were interviewing that guy and he mentioned just losing his memory? They are feeling the side effects, I guess you could say, of being near this thing. And to kind of go back for a second, you remember how Alex said that he thought Jay sent the email, but then Jay didn't actually send it, Alex did, and he forgot? What if, and I'm going to sound real crazy here, what if their symptoms started back then? And instead of Tim being the patient zero of whatever the hell is going on with their brains, it was that guy. Or perhaps I'm overlooking that and he just literally forgot. Plus, according to Jay, he was drunk when he was rambling, so, take that with a grain of salt. But either way, they're experiencing memory loss. We then cut to some time later. Alex's phone has now died. Jay has shut off his phone to save power. They're slowly losing any possible communication with the outside world. Despite all of this, Alex remains calm and wants to get more footage, stating that they have a journalistic obligation to record all this. Jay crouches down and tries to explain to him that, hey, you know what little food and water we had is in that car that we can't reach. Meaning that they can die of hunger and dehydration if they don't find their way out of here in time. But as they're talking, there's suddenly this sound of scraping.
Stranded here for real.
Still hear it?
No.
What was that?
I don't know. Did you see anything?
No, it's too dark.
I want you to keep that sound in mind. It'll come important later at the end. They both eventually peek out and see that it's gone. Alex, still wanting to record everything since he has basically no life, and I'm half saying that as an insult, half not, because he's basically stated he has no life. Anyway, Alex decides that he wants to try to record whatever was making that scraping noise and tells Jay that since he's so scared to see what it is, to just stay there. Alex, while Jay basically yells for him to come back, goes ahead and tries to find whatever this is, but as he does, he begins to start coughing badly.
Drop the camera! Just drop the camera! Drop it!
The footage that we see after this is just distorted cuts and recording. We see Jay on the ground, presumably coughing horribly, just like Alex was earlier. We see them loop back to the building again, very clearly distraught and just terrified at what's going on. After the distortion ends, we cut back to them sitting in that room. Jay does some math. and realizes that they've been here for 3 days. But there's no sign of the sun anywhere. And the one sign that was there got literally snatched away. Like it was some sort of glitch in the Matrix, just erased. But Jay points out that these batteries they got aren't gonna last forever. And it's getting harder and harder to not think about the terrifying circumstances that they're under. And here we have a moment of levity. Jay says that if they get out of here, he hopes that they can share the footage to show the horrors that they've seen. Alex says, though, that people are probably just going to think this was faked, saying, quote, "That vampire looks so real." They laugh and giggle about the fact they think it's a vampire, which, I don't think I can actually mention that without spoiling. And they joke and laugh about how Alex wanted to make a horror film that kinda was related to vampires, but it never went through because as they were doing that, Jay was moving in with Riley to find a new home, was finding a new job. And Alex states that he's sorry for coming off as mean, and that he's happy that Jay was able to do what he wanted. But the moment is cut short when that sound of dragging comes back. We cut again to a new scene. Jay's laying there, stating that he feels very dehydrated. They also go ahead and swap out the battery in the camera since it's about to die, realizing that they only have one more spare battery left now. They also begin to realize that the footage and storage that they have is getting low, so they should probably start to record a bit less. This then cuts to another scene. Man, Jay, the SD card is getting full on footage. We gotta start conserving what we can. Anyway, I'm gonna go record some stuff now. But this isn't a normal recording. It's very clearly distorted by the operator. And whoever is recording at this time is almost... It's weird the way they're walking. They very clearly have seen that they are in danger. And whoever is recording is just casually walking to that hole. They go ahead, find it, and we find out the person recording was Alex. They turn the camera. One thing I really like with Rosswood is that the operator is a bit more animated. In Marble Hornets, the operator didn't really move, and anytime he did, it felt, let's just say, a little weird. I know the creators have not stated how they've done it, but to be quite honest, I am 99% certain they just got somebody on stilts. And so to go from them doing the most, rotating their head, to seeing his hand go out, grab a pipe, lean his head out, and start to bend going towards Alex, yeah, it feels a lot more fucking scary. And this kind of goes with my point about the operator feeling much more involved. In Marble Hornets, he just stood there and caused the things to happen. He caused the people to go insane and result in them killing each other. I mean, hell, we even see that the people he drove to insanity were still scared of him. All that he really did in Marble Hornets was drive people crazy. But in this one, he is actively trying to go towards them and find them, along with using his powers to make them suffer even more, trapping them in darkness, starving them of food and water and resources. And seemingly this thing even knows how to distort or mimic their voice, which I wonder where they got the inspiration for that. Alex Kister, I know your series was good, but sweet Jesus, you caused an epidemic of every analog horror series just using mimics. I get it, it's scary, but holy fuck. I'm tired of monsters mimicking voices. But this is used so sparingly in this series that I'm willing to go ahead and admit.
I mean, it's alright.
But like I was saying, he's much more physical and involved here. He's no longer pushing people in directions and ways that would benefit him. He is actively doing these things. After whatever happened with Alex, we cut to Jay recording. And Alex in the background is very clearly not okay. Reminiscent of that person from part 1 in their condition. Just letting Jay go ahead and record, no longer wanting to record anymore. And to backtrack a little, what was the whole thing with Alex going to the tunnel? Judging by his blank facial expression during that segment, I think he was under some sort of spell or just some sort of psychosis and thought that going to the operator would help him somehow. Or perhaps the operator kind of took control of Alex and brought Alex to it. But anyway, Alex is not okay. Anyway, back to Jay. He mentions something that highlights something odd. He presumes that they have been here for at least 10 days. Now, mind you, the average human cannot survive without water for about 3 to 4 days, and cannot survive without food for about 10. But somehow they, 1, have vocal cords, despite the fact they would be severely dehydrated and probably be barely able to speak, but 2, have the energy to walk and record. And Jay himself even says,
"We should probably be dead by now, but we're not."
Jay points out that both of their phones are dead, no one picks up their calls, they have walked through the front entrance and other ways so many times, and they just keep finding their way back here. Jay points out that Alex, ever since leaving that one day, has had trouble talking, and has given the camera to Jay because of it. And as he mentions Alex, he goes to look back at him, but Alex walked away. He walked out of the room.
Trouble talking for some reason, so that's why you wanted me to. Alex. 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 Can you hear me?
And there, part 4 ends. Alex is, the chances of him being alive are probably very slim, seeing as whatever goes through there that they normally hide from is now going through there. And thus, we go to part 5, which is also the final part. After this one was uploaded, no more videos have been uploaded related to Rosswood. So either the series is on break, similar to, say, Marble Hornets would be with its seasons, or this was the finale. So, let's go talk about that finale.
Alex. Yeah. Alex.
Part 5 seemingly cuts back from right where Part 4 ended. Jay opens the door to the room that they're hiding in and yells out for Alex, trying to find him. But at one point the camera distorts, and I think Jay notices it because he audibly stops yelling and seemingly is scared. He then turns around. We then presumably see distorted footage of him running, and then presumably dropping the camera. After this, we cut to just pure pitch black with some sort of ringing in the background. And then we hear Jay talk as he seemingly finds the camera in pitch black. And I'm just going to let the scene play for a little bit to show you how well Jay is doing.
Found you. Let's see. Everything okay? Oh, looks okay. And ooh, the battery's almost dead. Luckily, I have another one here. Oh. Okay. Oh, that's way more light than I'm used to having. Okay. So come with me. We're gonna walk back home, me and you. I mean, not that anyone's really going to see this. I don't really know who I'm talking to. But we're going to call this Updates from Jay, number 1.
He is under pure psychosis. But Jay, in his terrible mental state, states that he threw away his watch and needs to find it because Riley gave it to him. And now, without a flashlight, presumably its battery died, he has to use the camera's light.
Alright, we're back home here. That's my room, and this is where Alex is going to go over here once I find him, once I bring him back.
So after this room tour, Jay states a few things that are a little bit important. Firstly, the moon does shine, but the sun doesn't. And the reason he was apparently able to find this camera was by relying on the light from the moon. So that implies that the moon is still here, just the sun is dead or something. The sun vanished. Hey, remember that series? But he also states that he wants to try to find Alex, because he's pretty sure he heard Alex about 2 days ago. But as he's rambling, the dragging noise comes back. He goes ahead, hides, turns the camera off, and when it cuts back, apparently, in between him stopping the recording and recording again, it rained. And according to him, when it rains, that thing usually doesn't come by, whatever it is that's making that noise. Which, let's be honest, it's probably the operator. Jay eventually goes to leave the room, but trips over something. He turns around to see what he tripped over. Alex is dead. And something I feel like a lot of people may have not noticed is that when Jay turns around to run away from the operator, Alex's body is suddenly gone. It's almost like the operator purposely put the dead body there to fuck with Jay, and once Jay was understandably fucking horrified, just got rid of it because, oh, I scared him. That's what I wanted to do with his body. Treating it like it's some sort of fucking prop at a Halloween attraction. But eventually, after Jay runs around for a while, he rests on a tree, trying to catch his breath when his phone starts ringing. But his phone is dead, and the screen doesn't light up, but it keeps ringing.
Jay, where are you?
Alex? Alex! Can you hear me?
Jay, where are you? 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 Jay, where are you?
After crying because he's probably reached his fucking breaking point, he goes ahead and runs off into the woods again, and stumbles across something that was mentioned all the way back in part 1. The tunnel. Not the maintenance tunnel, the big tunnel. The one where, according to that guy, he saw his brother and then somehow saw himself. As Jay approaches it, 2 bright lights appear, almost like eyeballs. And as he does it...
Alex! Alex!
It appears as if Jay saw himself, which suddenly explains what the person said in part 1 when he said, "I was so beautiful." He saw himself. We then cut to the camera being dragged on the floor. And do you remember when I mentioned to remember...
Hey! Where are you? Help! Jay! Please! Please! Where are you? Help me! Jay!
We then see that Jay is now lying somewhere, covered in dust and dirt, coughing his lungs up. He begins to yell out for Alex, but no one calls back. It then cuts to him again, laying against the wall, crying. He just sits there apologizing to Alex that he didn't have time to help him with his films, that he's sorry that life caught up with him, that he was busy with Riley and finding a home and his job. He's sorry for all of it and just wants to work on the videos again. He just wants to work on videos and just have everything be okay. We then cut again to him walking around, and his phone starts to ring again. And this time, he's able to not only see who's calling, but answer them. It's Riley. Keep in mind, it stated earlier that his phone is dead, and it's suddenly just back on now. And when he goes to answer, it's very clear that it's probably not Riley.
Riley? Riley! Can you hear me? Oh my god. Oh my god, yes, I'm here. I'm here. Listen. Alex and I have been stuck out here for a really long time, and we can't figure out how to get out. And he's there? When did he get back? Oh my god. You have no idea how glad I am that... Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm just so relieved. I'm listening. You figured it out. Yeah. Yeah, tell me, please. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'll put it down. Just a second. Hold on. Okay, it's down. Now I'm facing the right way. Yeah. Into the hallway. Okay. I'm coming. Don't move. I'll be there soon. Yeah.
As he walks off into the darkness, we hear a thud. The camera then suddenly gets dragged away. As it's being dragged away, the camera distorts again, and we see Rosswood at day. And the operator makes one last brief appearance before we see some text. The camera was found by an unnamed individual. They were a part of the crew tasked with the demolition of Rosswood Hospital. Its battery pack was 84% charged, and no other equipment was found. Alex Crayley and Jay Merrick remain missing. Riley Merrick requested that this footage be released to the public in hope that it may assist in locating Alex and Jay. Please, come back. And with that, Rosswood comes to a close. So, let's try to piece the mystery here together. It is very clear what pretty much everything paranormal we see is the operator's doing. There's no way around it. But what exactly is the operator doing here? You see, back with Marble Hornets, the operator had a bit of a connection to this hospital due to Tim's character. Tim, as a child, back when the hospital was still a hospital, was treated there for his issues and would try to escape on multiple nights after seeing something, which it's heavily implied that something was the operator. Y'all, I am turning on my fans because it is hot as hell in my room right now. It gets cold at night, so we got the heat on, and I normally turn off my fans so that way y'all can hear me, but it's fucking hot. I apologize in advance if this makes some white noise in the background. And in Marble Hornets, specifically, the operator had a very clear connection, and although not a very clear backstory, at least you could piece together a concept of why he's here, or maybe how he came to be. But here, there's even less evidence. We know that a child went missing, and that could have presumably been Tim, except in this universe, he was never found. But if that's the case, then why has the hospital been abandoned? You see, in Marble Hornets, the reason the hospital was abandoned is because it was burnt down. And although it was not explicitly stated in the series, it has been stated by the creators, it was burnt down because Tim started a fire in there. And so what I think is that the hospital just decayed naturally, became abandoned, fell apart. And I think that in Rosswood, in this take of the story, this is the operator's home. And he's less of a disease like he was in Marble Hornets. In that one, he isn't some creature that spreads to people based on who they encounter. Instead, he is simply a guardian of his home. And these two were house intruders. And like any good old American, minus the gun, he showed them house intruders what's up. That joke sounded way better in my head. So I think that the operator is basically just here because it's his home. But then it begs the question, why? Why is this his home? Well, I have an idea, and as a matter of fact, this could even be looked at and maybe even tie into Marble Hornets, depending on how you look at it. That place had medical staff. People that were probably higher up in there. And, well, higher up people sometimes wear suits. What if perhaps, because it's very clear the paranormal was in this fucking universe. What if perhaps he is the ghost or spirit of one of the higher-ups that allowed the cruel happenings to happen? What if this is perhaps like hell for that person? And that person is the operator. And they are being punished for their terrible actions by being forced to stay here as a ghost. And anybody who comes here feels their anger at the trap that they have been put into. I mean, as we've very clearly seen, the operator in this one gets his hands dirty. And look, I'm not a ghost, at least right now, but I would assume if I was a ghost and I'm forced to stay somewhere for eternity, and two chuckle fucks came in there to try to record some shitty vlog, yeah, I'd probably have a few words with them. And by words, I mean I'd probably fucking kill them. I personally think that the operator in this is a trapped spirit, stuck here from back when the hospital was originally abandoned, or maybe even it was burnt down in this one too. All that they state in part 1 is that it closed down in 1999. But I think the operator is a ghost. But what if he isn't? What if perhaps he is instead a servant to something greater going on here? Because there's very clearly something greater going on here. Perhaps it's not him causing all these strange happenings. Although it would leave you to question who, and from there I have no evidence. But let's talk about this greater shit going on, such as Jay seeing himself. And that dragging I mentioned comes real important here. If you listen closely, that dragging sounds exactly like the noises that they heard outside of the room. Which leaves me to wonder, and I'm gonna sound like Matt Patman. What if they're in some sort of, loop? Some sort of infinite repeating moment in time? It is very clear they are not in reality, and the camera just ended up in reality. So what if this weird alternate world is stuck in a time loop? And what if Alex and Jay don't die because they just can't die there? Jay states himself they should be dead by the time of part 4. So what if perhaps they're trapped in hell, and the torturer here is the operator? Perhaps he is the one pushing things along. Perhaps this is his own dimension of his own doing. However, I am willing to admit a fault here, that the person in part 1 managed to find their way out. I mean, yeah, they're very clearly not an okay individual now in their current state, but they did escape. Maybe Jay and Alex did escape, but are now lost in the woods, and if they are lost in the woods, they probably died of hunger or thirst. So, maybe they aren't trapped in hell. But it is very apparent, at least, that when they're there in this place, things don't work normally. So perhaps there is a way out, but they never found it. Only the camera. What if perhaps the operator only teleported that guy out to make him suffer? To have to live in such a horrid state along with the women that tried to help him? What if he allowed this camera to be sent out there into the real world again, knowing it would reach its way to Riley just to torture them? Just to show them that their partner is out there, stranded, lost, and scared? Maybe the operator picks who gets to escape, and it's less of there is a way out, only you can get out if the operator feels nice enough. And this series was presumably 2 people on his shit list. But in my opinion, I think that what we're seeing here is the ghost of a worker from Rosswood who now has this sort of realm that he can control. A realm of torture and pain, just like the things that he caused to patients. And whoever dares to enter these grounds suffers. Maybe you'll be lucky and get to leave, but you're probably not going to be that lucky. Another theory made by my friend CNS is that perhaps the only reason that they're trapped here, Alex and Jay, is because Alex wants to keep recording. And because he dies in part 5, maybe that's how Jay, quote-unquote, escapes. Although him escaping could just be him, like, finally feeling the effects of 10 days of no water and 10 days of no food and 10 days of probably no sleep. But this theory would also explain why the guy in episode 1 was able to escape, because he wanted to leave. Alex didn't, and thus got Jay stuck there with him. But, to be frank, I really don't know what's going on. And likely, we'll never know. That was the main good thing about Marble Hornets, and I'd argue another good thing about Rosswood. Who knows what's going on? I can remember on my Marble Hornets video thousands of comments just talking about their ideas of what they think is going on. And in my opinion, that kind of stuff is what keeps a series going. Mystery. And Rosswood, in my opinion, does that perfect. But I feel more important than that, Rosswood proves that Slender Man, even in this day and age, can be a fucking horrifying story element. If used correctly, you can make a truly horrifying story with Slender Man. Granted, it might be hard to make a really, really good one, but you can make a good story with the Slender Man if you do it right. And back when Marble Hornets came out, there were so many spin-offs made by other people, and before you ask, I probably will not be covering them. I get that people really want me to, but like, I'm not the Slender guy, alright? But anyway, those series tried to do what Marble Hornets did, do their own twist, their own take. Granted, I haven't seen all of them, but from what I've seen, they've done a fairly alright job. And I hope with Rosswood, and maybe even with this video, that some great artist or director is watching this and decides that they should make a story about Slender Man. Because he has been done dirty by Hollywood. And if Rosswood has made one thing clear, Hollywood should not be in charge of making a film about Slender Man. Because the people behind this series consisted of a few actors and 2 people. And has reminded me of my love for the horrors that you can make with Slender Man. Now, for all I know, maybe at some point as I'm recording this, they'll release another part. Maybe they'll make a new season. But I'd actually argue I'm happy with it ending on this note. It leaves it on a good cliffhanger. A cliffhanger I'm happy to have. And I'm content with it. To try to end this video with some sort of outro, Rosswood shows that Slender Man still has it in him. He is still horrifying, scary, and can serve as a great villain. All you have to do is make that story.
You think the devil has horns? Well, so did I. But I was wrong, his hair is combed and he wears a suit and tie. He's nice, polite, he'll catch you by surprise. A smile so bright, he's a devil in disguise.